Thank you, Rita. Hello, I'm Claire Summers. Welcome to Wales Today. Tonight's headlines. Mel from Powys faces waiting another year for a hip operation in England because of budget pressures here.
I was just starting to think, light at the end of the tunnel, I might get it done this year and get my life back. And now it's another year away.
Tonight, the full story of why patients in mid-Wales are facing lengthy delays for operations. Also tonight, a sought-after item, thousands of fake Labubu dolls are seized and traced back to a shop in Swansea. Authorities found they posed a choking hazard to children.
What happens is this, they start falling apart. So the parents paying £10 for this, and within days or hours it's falling apart.
We're live at the Wrexham National Eisteddfod, a week-long celebration of the Welsh language, culture and music. Now, this festival is the BBC's third biggest outside broadcast behind Glastonbury and Wimbledon, so I'll be taking you on a tour behind the scenes.
And Storm Floris has been sweeping across the country today. Now that it's clearing away, what's in store for the rest of this week, both here at the Eisteddfod and across the rest of Wales? Join me later.
Good evening. NHS patients from Wales who need knee and hip operations over the border are facing lengthy delays after a health board asked English hospitals to copy Wales's longer waiting times. Powys Teaching Health Board announced the change to save money as it could not afford the cost of how quickly treatments in England are being carried out. The Health Board says people should be treated in the same time frame as residents of anywhere else in Wales. Here's our Westminster correspondent, Amelia Belly.
59-year-old Mel Wallace moved to Howie near Llandrindod, Wales in 2021 to make the most of the countryside. But after waiting over a year for a new hip, her motorbike is like new, work is increasingly challenging, and simpler activities like walking and putting on socks have become hard.
It's very steep on the hill, so it's near on impossible for me to get up there.
Now she's facing a wait of at least another year, 104 weeks or 2 years in total. She only found out after she rang up Hereford's hospital to chase an operation date and says her health board hadn't contacted her at all.
I was really upset. I feel a bit upset now, actually, because I was just starting to think, light at the end of the tunnel, I might get it done this year and get my life back. And now it's another year away.
Powys doesn't have a district general hospital, so sends patients to England for planned care like orthopaedics and cataracts at a cost to the health board. But faced with serious financial challenges, it's been told to save more than £26 million by the Welsh Government, it cannot afford the faster rate treatments are carried out there. So now, hospitals in Hereford, Shrewsbury, Telford and Gabowen are being told to follow Wales's much longer waiting time measures. Normally active and an avid gardener, 65-year-old Stephen Evans from Builth Wells now relies on braces and regular painkillers to get through the day as he waits to get his knees done. In May, he was told to expect an operation in Hereford within weeks, but when he called to follow up, he was told he'd have to cope for another year.
If you're going to turn around and say to the people of Powys, you don't matter, to say that that's because of an accounting problem, that's not an answer. That's not fair. And if it's down to the fact that it's because of where you live, that's got to be discrimination.
With growing patient calls for the policy to be scrapped, politicians have raised the issue in the Senedd and UK Parliament.
The UK and the Welsh governments have both said that cutting waiting lists is one of their top priorities, and yet we now have this situation whereby Welsh health boards are artificially extending waiting times for our own patients. It's not good enough, and that's why the Welsh Government has to make sure that it gives Powys Teaching Health Board enough funding to process those people faster.
And there are also questions as to why waiting time measures are much longer in Wales than in England.
It is important that the Health Board balances its books, but it is also important to recognise that there will be people in Powys who will be sent to Swansea, where of course their waiting lists are going much, much quicker now. And there are lots of people in Powys waiting for a long time for England to get their act together as well.
In a statement, Powys Teaching Health Board's Chief Executive, Hayley Thomas, said they understand the changes would be frustrating and disappointing for patients, but they cannot continue to spend money they do not have to offer faster access care to some parts of the county and need to take a fairer approach that protects essential services for everyone. But for patients expecting to get their lives back, the unexpected and much longer wait feels anything but fair.
And Millie is with me now in the studio. So Millie, what's been the response to the policy change?
Well, we heard the dismay from patients there and the calls for, if not this policy to be scrapped, then at least for patients' prior waiting times to be honoured. And there's been some disagreement as well from English health boards. For example, Shrewsbury and Telford hasn't yet implemented the waiting time measures and hasn't yet been able to come to a settlement with Powys over them. And Wye Valley NHS Trust say that it's a very poor value for money decision that has real impact on patients. But Powys Teaching Board is in between a rock and a hard place at the moment, because unless it suddenly finds or is given a big pot of money, it's under significant financial pressure and does have to make these cuts. In fact, many more Powys residents could even be affected in future, because the Health Board is currently considering applying these Welsh waiting time measures to all planned care outpatient appointments that take place in England from later on this year. And while the First Minister told us that this discrepancy in waits is partially down to different ways of counting in Wales and in England, inevitably there'll be raised eyebrows in their direction as well, given that lowering waiting times and actually getting people back into work are both key priorities of both Labour administrations in the UK and here in Wales.
Millie, thank you very much. Now, other news tonight. 6 men have appeared before Newport Magistrates Court charged with violent disorder following an incident in the city on Friday afternoon. Police were called to Commercial Road after a group of men were seen fighting in the street, resulting in 4 being taken to hospital. With the help of an interpreter, all 6 men pleaded not guilty. A 17-year-old, also charged with violent disorder, is expected to appear before magistrates at a later date. Sheep and cattle from Wales that are vaccinated against the blue tongue virus will be allowed into livestock markets in England from August the 18th, as long as they are within 12 miles of the border. Movement of livestock from England into Wales is still restricted without a negative test, as is transporting unvaccinated animals across the border. The Welsh Government says a balance must be struck between the ability to trade and the increased risk of the disease. Cardiff Bus, which operates services across the city, says it's committed to further talks after hundreds of its staff voted to strike over the summer. Unite says its members will walk out for 3 weeks from the 17th of August in a row over pay. Cardiff Bus said it had made a substantial offer to the union. Now, they are the furry dolls that have become a global sensation. Labubu dolls are in demand, but also being targeted by criminal gangs. Thousands of fake dolls were recently seized at a raid in London. Trading Standards officers traced the toys from a shop in Swansea and warned they'd seen the eyes, hands, feet and heads all detach from counterfeit versions. Will Fife has this special report.
Confusion at a London industrial estate as police vans and Trading Standards lorries block the usual lunchtime traffic. They're looking for fake Labubu dolls and find thousands of them, stuffed into crates and hidden away in a labyrinth of rooms upstairs. There are millions of pounds worth of counterfeit products here, destined for across the UK.
So this is the traditional Labubu toy that you expect. Pop mart, head comes off. The feet will pull off.
Reese's team first encountered fakes like this just a few weeks ago, 200 miles away in Swansea.
So we've got what's called a truncated cylinder. Sounds really complicated, but it's just a little cylinder which is the shape of a child's throat. And if this fits into a truncated cylinder, which these will, it's a choking hazard. And that goes into the child's throat, they'll get stuck and then potentially cause choking. These are expensive toys to buy the genuine product, and people are picking them up in corner shops, garages, wherever they are in their local area. They are the TikTok craze. But what happens is they start falling apart. So a parent's paying £10 for this, and within days or hours it's falling apart. So he's fallen off.
In the past few months, Border Force has seized hundreds of thousands of fake Labubus from ports, many arriving in large airmail packages, all like this, with serious safety concerns.
Counterfeiting is the second largest source of criminal income worldwide, second only to drug trafficking. So you can see it's big business. So it's in the interests of these criminal organisations to respond quickly to trends, to maximise it, to get on the back of it and make the most money that they possibly can. So that's why we see it happening so quickly, and complete disregard for any safety concerns.
Oh my God, Miss Loyalty!
Meg Goldberger is a TikTok influencer who now has a collection of 12 genuine Labubus. The 27-year-old from Cardiff has travelled around the country in order to pick up genuine products, but says what's concerned her most is the presence of online scalpers who, like with gig tickets, will buy huge numbers of the dolls on release so they can sell them on at a profit.
When I saw the proof, because I had to ask for proof of whether or not these were real, they sent me a screenshot of what could have been like almost 200 orders of Labubu. So these people will sit at home, somehow robot hack the websites and bulk buy them, which is why they go so quickly, and then resell them. It used to be they sold out within like a minute. It's now like literally 2 seconds. You can't get your hands on them.
Despite difficulties getting the real thing, authorities are urging people to still be careful and look out for fakes. The thousands found on the industrial estate in London will now be taken away to storage, and then eventually recycled or destroyed.
Now, this week marks the 80th anniversary of the world's first nuclear bomb being dropped on a civilian population. When the US hit the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Second World War soon came to an end. Now, it's estimated more than 118,000 people died on impact in both cities. The survivors and their families still feel the effects to this very day. Among them, a family from Swansea, as Jordan Dunbar reports.
At 8:15 a.m. on the 6th of August 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, it bombed the southern city of Nagasaki. It's the only time in history that nuclear weapons have ever been used in warfare.
It can feel really distant. The bomb was 80 years ago, it was 9,000 miles away, but actually the effects and the legacy of the bomb can be felt here in the UK today.
Land of hell, Hiroshima was. And that was a man-made hell. Man made it. People made it.
Kyoko Gibson was born in Hiroshima 3 years after the bomb exploded. Today, she lives near Swansea, having married a British man, a long way from the Japan she left in the 1960s, where people were often reluctant to face what had happened.
A lot of people, they don't tell they are from Hiroshima, or they moved away. Like my father, he left us when I was 7 years old, and I never see him. Never see him. I think he didn't want to deal life he had in Hiroshima.
Your life today is still affected by what happened. Can you tell me some of how it still affects you?
Yeah, I was a physically weak child. I had a stroke, I had a tumor, and recently I had 2 breast cancer operations.
Kyoko's daughter Liz and her granddaughter Violet have joined us. I'm interested to find out what they think about the events in August 1945, especially since Kyoko only told her family what happened to her in Hiroshima in the last couple of years.
Violet and I, we went to Japan 2 years ago, and we spent some time in Hiroshima as well, which was something I think that all of a sudden you realised, you know, what a massive impact that has on our family. So it was a great opportunity, but it was quite scary.
What is it from
Your granny's story that you think that they should know? Well, like, what's the message that people your age need to take away?
You need to see like the impact it's had on people, how it's hurt people, and just not bring that kind of pain again. Because with technology getting better, it's just going to be worse next time if it happens again.
Violet Philpott ending that report, and you can see more on this story later this evening, what happened at Hiroshima. It's at 8:30 here on BBC One Wales, also available on the iPlayer. Now, a successful weekend for Elfyn Evans, who reclaimed the World Rally Championship lead. The Welshman finished 4th at Rally Finland. The result means he returns to the top of the standings with 5 races left. Now to Wrexham next tonight, where thousands of visitors are expected throughout the week at this year's National Eisteddfod. Let's head there now. Jen is on the mice for us this evening. Hiya, Jen.
Hi Claire, yes, good evening. Noswaith Dda from Wrexham, home to this year's annual celebration of the Welsh language, culture and music. Now this year's mice, or main field, is in Isa Coed, which is just east of the city, a couple of miles from the English border, which is just over there. And it all kicked off over the weekend. They've already had choral competitions, there have been brass bands. This morning there was a Gorsedd Cymru ceremony led by the Archdruid, and then this afternoon the first of the week's main literary prizes, the Crown. And the winner this year was Owain Rhys from Cardiff for his collection of poems on the theme of ruins, which were described by the judges as both rich and powerful. So huge congratulations to Owain Rhys. So let's get a roundup of the first full day of events and competitions with our reporter Sarah Easdale.
In spite of early weather concerns, Storm Floris only brought a bit of rain and some wind to the mice. Visitors were undeterred and later rewarded with sunshine. For some, the Eisteddfod is an annual pilgrimage. For others, it's something to discover.
I've been many times over the years. It's good that it's local to us now. I live 9 miles away. So coming to Wrexham has been a real opportunity to showcase a local talent and see local choirs and soloists taking part.
This is my first time at the Eisteddfod. My children are about ready to perform with their school, Ida Hewson, about the poet Ida Hewson. So, and then I'm competing later on in the week with Rhos Male Voice Choir.
I'm local from Bangor area, and then my granddad's been joined into the Orsedd this morning, so we came to watch that ceremony, so that was really nice.
This is my first time at the Eisteddfod. I'm originally from Leeds, so yeah, this is my first experience of the Welsh Festival.
It's 14 years since the Eisteddfod was last in Wrexham, so this week is a rare chance for people to experience the festival in their local area, and it's also a golden opportunity for the county borough to showcase its best bits.
Wrexham's the name on everyone's lips at the moment, so we've got a lot of people who are coming up, obviously to celebrate the festival this week, but they're going out to the town centre, they're exploring the National Trust properties, and for us it's about showcasing the culture, the heritage and everything that there is to do here.
The Eisteddfod is also a chance to honour the achievements of those who've made a contribution to Wales, its language and culture. For actor Mark Lewis-Jones, being local makes him even more proud of taking part in that, as well as being honorary president.
To happen here in Wrexham, I was born and raised just down the road in Rhos, and I went to school in Wrexham. So, to be given these 2 honours in the same Eisteddfod at home in Wrexham is shocking and wonderful, and really a huge honour.
Over the course of the week, the Eisteddfod will bring around 150,000 visitors to the small hamlet of Isa Coed and 6,000 competitors, showcasing their music, art, literature and drama, something for everyone. And to top it off, more sunshine expected.
Yes, lovely sunshine here this evening, which will please the festival's chief executive, Betsan Moses. Storm Floris, thankfully spared us. So everything going well so far?
Everything's going wonderful. People are coming in the droves and they're enjoying themselves, and we've got sun now, and it's lovely.
It's an evolving festival, so tell us what's new this year.
Well, we've got Hwyr Nos, which is a campsite that has been developed because a lot of people are saying, when you're 21 plus, maybe you don't want to stay in Maesby. You want to go there, but maybe you need to go to bed a little bit earlier. So we're developing that, and that's been a sellout. And we've got a studio where it's more for more of a contemporary or classical concept, and we can use it, of course, for recitals. Around the mice, then you'll see the wonderful array of different art forms. There's something for everybody here.
Now, it's not a Welsh-speaking heartland, is it? So have you seen the same level of enthusiasm for the Eisteddfod that you would expect to see normally?
Okay, you know, the local committee have worked diligently to try and provide opportunities continuously for people to hear the Welsh, to use the Welsh that they have, or just to take part. One of the important things that coming here, we were working with partners to ensure that we can make the most of it, so it was an injection of Welshness into the area.
Mm-hmm. Now, we spoke to the chair of the executive committee at lunchtime, and she was saying it was quite challenging raising the target of £400,000. We know there's a shortfall, and is that going to impact the festival at all?
No, we were very clear from the outset. The important thing was providing an opportunity for people to participate. So we didn't want the cost to become a barrier. So with that in mind, we have been looking throughout the 2 years at how are things going, and we can then ensure that we can adjust the spend in regards to the income that's coming in.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes with all those volunteers in there. And just very briefly, what do you hope that the legacy could be for this area?
I think it's people using the Welsh more so. We've been working with some organisations saying we've never used Welsh in part of our services, so now it becomes a bilingual concept, so it's just utilising those skills they've learnt with us, and that people feel that there's more opportunities to use Welsh.
OK, Betsan Moses, thank you so much for your time this evening, and good luck for the rest of the week. Now, if you can't get to the Mice, then don't worry, because did you know that the National Eisteddfod is the BBC's third biggest outside broadcast? That's just behind Glastonbury and Wimbledon. So let me take you on a quick tour behind the scenes.
Y gwir yn erbyn y byd, a oes heddwch.
For just over 100 years, the BBC has been broadcasting from the National Eisteddfod to audiences across Wales, on radio and television, and more recently, online. It all began in Pontypool in 1924, when radio broadcasts from the Mice meant audiences could follow proceedings wherever they were in Wales. So fast forward to this week, and BBC Wales will be broadcasting for a total of 160 hours on multiple platforms in Welsh and in English. You can see a radio and a TV studio over there. Now, the coverage started on S4C on Friday night, and the man in charge of it all is in here. Hiya, bore da.
Bore da, Jen.
Hiya, ti'n iawn?
Iawn, diolch.
So this is where it all happens?
Yeah, this is where it all happens, with around 200 members of staff working on the production. We deliver around 80 hours of broadcasting for S4C during the week. We've got English language programmes going on as well, Radio Cymru, Radio Wales, our digital teams. So it's a massive team effort in terms of what's happening, and it's a real pleasure to work on this production.
So let's head outside past all the news teams working hard. That's Sabrina preparing her weather forecast. Hi, Sabrina. And we'll take a look at the technical side of things outside. Now, this festival is BBC Cymru Wales' biggest annual outside broadcast, and the third biggest right across the BBC. That's behind Glastonbury and Wimbledon. Now, I've counted 12 of these satellite trucks which allow outside broadcasting, and inside these mobile galleries is a small army of directors, vision mixers and technical engineers, making sure that the broadcasting is seamless.
We know that we invest over £1 million in our Eisteddfod coverage, but I would say that that does deliver value for money just because of the amount of hours and all the services and programmes that we provide across the week. And we know audiences really enjoy watching all our coverage in both languages.
And for those who don't speak Welsh, radio and TV presenter Hugh Stevens will be fronting highlight programmes throughout the week.
The Eisteddfod, like Glastonbury, it's a unique one-off event. It's really special. So to do the shows that I do from here in the English language is really important because it is a Welsh language event. I've been to everyone since I was born, you know, but there's new people coming every year to the Eisteddfod. So to be able to introduce it to a new audience on the BBC airwaves is really important, I think.
So as the first full day of broadcasting at this year's Eisteddfod comes to an end, the work has only just begun for the teams bringing you the news, competitions and music from the Mice this year.
Stand by, Rob.
Yes, it's going to be a very busy week here. So let's get the forecast for the next few days with Sabrina.
Thanks, Jen. Well, it's been a pretty mixed day here at the Eisteddfod. Those winds have definitely been a noticeable feature, but the sun did appear this afternoon, so I think a lot of people have enjoyed a nice walk around the Maes. Now, if you are heading to the Eisteddfod tomorrow, good news, it does look dry. I think there's just a small chance for the odd passing shower, and there's going to be sunny spells once again. I think tomorrow the breeze will be quite noticeable once again. That will just take the edge off the temperature, so if you are coming here, a layer or two could come in handy. Now today then, talking of Storm Floris, the peak wind gusts here in Wales have been at 65 miles per hour. That was at 3 of our weather sites in Gwynedd, Conwy and Powys, and there's also a weather warning still in place over the coming hours. The windiest conditions will be in North Wales. It has been an unseasonably windy day given the time of year. So this evening then, most of us will end up seeing some late sunshine, and then overnight there's going to be a few scattered showers dotted around the country, some fairly lengthy clear skies. Overnight lows typically 10 to 13 Celsius, and it is still going to be a blustery night, windiest along that north coast. So tomorrow then, the pressure chart will show Storm Floris swirling around over parts of Scandinavia. Meanwhile, here in the UK, we've got a ridge of higher pressure extended in, and that will settle things down quite nicely. So tomorrow itself then across Wales, there's going to be some fairly lengthy dry spells. Once again, there will be some scattered showers moving in, and there's going to be a mixture of sunny spells and variable amounts of cloud. Quite a breezy day, windiest in parts of North Wales, and temperatures quite similar to today's values, 18 to 21 Celsius. By the time we get to Wednesday then, a calmer day in store in terms of those winds. They'll typically be gentle, maybe a touch breezier along the west coast. And I think there's going to be some sunshine for a time, and then cloud will tend to build as the day wears on, but no significant rain expected. Those temperatures typically in the high teens and low 20s. Thursday then, we do expect another weather front to move in. This will increase cloud cover, perhaps reduce visibility in places, and that will also trigger some outbreaks of rain and drizzle in places, with those winds picking up somewhat. By the time we get to Friday then, another ridge of high pressure builds in, so largely dry conditions expected, sunny spells and quite warm where you do get that afternoon sunshine. Looking further out then, this weekend into the first part of next week, I think overall there's a fairly dry trend. There's always the chance for a few showers here and there, and there's also a warming trend in the forecast too, so those temperatures start to climb above average. If you are heading to the Eisteddfod, there's a good looking forecast actually, and I'll supply the sunshine. Back to you, Jen.
Sabrina, thank you very much. And that is Wales Today. We will, of course, be back throughout the week with updates and highlights from the Maes in Wrexham. But for now, from the team in Cardiff in the studio and from North East Wales, thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your evening. Nos da i chi. Bye-bye. Hyfar.